Hello all, and welcome to your first lesson in Chapter 4. So how's your first lesson of 2021? Hopefully the review went okay. If you're stuck on any of the questions, make sure to nominate them, and I'm happy to help you work through them. So for now, we're going to do a little bit of review today, and then we'll start looking at new stuff on Thursday's lesson. So get yourself ready for notes, and we're going to do a little review about extrema, minima, and maxima for functions from Chapter 4. So let's get started. Now, with our extrema, this is extreme values. There's a couple different types that we're interested in. The first that I just mentioned is minimum and maximum. So the minimum meaning the lowest value. So that can look in two different ways. A minimum can have the lowest value. The minimum would be here. And then every other value is higher than it. It could also have an endpoint like this, which would be another minimum value, though we're more used to seeing the one that looks more like a parabola. Maximum, same, so that it is the highest and every other part of the graph is below it, like so. Now, we're also interested in other types, which is local and absolute. So a local extrema would be something like these little parabolas. And what that means is that they form a curve and there is a flat tangent line. So the local will always look like a parabola when you zoom in. And what it means is that it's the lowest of all the nearby points. Absolute could look like either. So it could look like an endpoint or parabola. So it could look like an endpoint or a parabola. And the absolute maximum and minimum is of the entire function. So let's look at an example of that. If I'm looking at number 1, find and label all the extrema on the graph. So we've got our two parabolic points. We have one at negative 2x and one at x is equal to 1. And here, this is a local maximum, but it's not the absolute maximum. It's a local maximum because everything around it goes down, is lower. The absolute maximum is this point over here, which you can see, because while it isn't forming a nice little local max, this is the absolute maximum, since every other point of the function is below it. So if this is our absolute maximum at 45, every other point of that function is below 45. We also have an extreme value here, which is a local and absolute minimum. So it might be both. In this case, this is the absolute lowest at negative, looks about negative 1.5, negative 1 point something, where everything else, these are all measured in 5, so I guess negative 7. Every value of the function is above this point here. So hopefully that reminder of the distinction between absolute and local minimum and maximum makes sense. Please, of course, always let me know if you're confused about anything. One of your other types of problems you'll be asked is to sketch a graph. So here we have sketch a graph on the interval negative 2 to 2 with only a local minimum and an absolute maximum. So the interval here is, like in this question, is where the graph exists from. So in this case, it had an interval of negative 3 to 3. Here, we'll sketch our graph, and our minimum is negative 2, and our maximum is 2. The x and y values are not stipulated, But what that means is that we can't go past this point, and we can't go past this point. We're only looking at that inner interval right there. If it has a local minimum, what I can do is I'll just draw in a point here that's going to be the parabola, and it can be anywhere. So I'll say, okay, well, there's the local minimum, and we're not going to have a parabolic absolute maximum. So I'm going to go here, and there over here, and now we don't have a shape like what we see here for having a local maximum, but we do have an absolute here, like so. It looks like it's about 2, assuming that these are all labeled together. Of course, your graphs could all look a little bit different, but they should all have some of these similarities. Again, if you're stuck on anything, nominate the problems in the form, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I look forward to hearing from all of you.